So the expansion draft has come and gone, and the Seattle Kraken select Will Borgen from the Buffalo Sabres. Literally the one and only thing that could have possibly bummed me out. Thanks, Seattle. Thanks, Botterill. Hey everyone, my name is Melody. Thank you for clicking on this video. So yesterday was the highly anticipated Seattle Kraken Expansion Draft. Probably would have been a little bit more fun and exciting if all the picks weren't leaked by like noon yesterday, but you know. So yeah, we found out pretty early yesterday that Will Borgen was going to be the pick by the Seattle Kraken, and yeah, like I said, like that was like the only thing that could have happened that would have been even like a little bit disappointing. So like naturally that's what the Kraken are gonna do. So even though the news came out earlier yesterday, I wanted to wait to make the video to see if there were any like side deals or anything more to it that we didn't know. Obviously with Will Borgen being the pick, there definitely wasn't gonna be any side deals going on between Buffalo and Seattle, considering that Will Borgen was like the only asset of really any kind of value that we left unprotected. But I was more so kind of interested to see like if there were any side deals like throughout the league, what those deals might have been. And there were like none? Really? I felt like people were saying that there were gonna be like a ton of side deals and then like nothing. I remember reading something on Twitter that said that like teams were trying to make side deals, trying to do the whole don't take this player kind of deals. But I guess the asking price that Seattle was asking for was way too high. I think the word that was used was exorbitant. But yeah, I mean, a little weird to not see any side deals. I mean, maybe they're playing the long game, maybe they have more planned. But either way, let's talk about Will Borgen. So Will Borgen was selected in the 4th round of the 2015 NHL draft, the Jack Eichel draft. And I think if the Seattle Kraken wouldn't have taken him, you could have definitely easily penciled him into the starting lineup for the Sabres. For this upcoming season. Not really a ton of NHL experience, only playing 14 career games. 10 of them came this year in the 2021 season. His other 4 came 2 years ago in the 2018-2019 season. He has yet to record a point in any of those 14 career NHL games, but like, it's okay because no one on the Sabres scores anyway. So unfortunately, like half the team this year, I feel like, Borgen suffered a long-term injury. He broke his forearm when he was blocking a shot pretty early on in the season, missed about like 2 months. So we really didn't get like a great look at him. It would have been nice to see him in like a full NHL season. Obviously this season wasn't going to be a full season, but it would have been nice to see him play out this year and see what we really had in him. But alas. I said in my last video that I thought the decision to protect Rasmus Ristolainen over Will Borgen was the right decision by Kevin Adams. I thought it was better asset management. It'll all come down to what the Sabres end up getting in a Rasmus Ristolainen trade whenever that happens. Like, I feel like we've been waiting for a Rasmus Ristolainen trade for like the last 3 years. Like, how is he still on this team? Honestly, I probably would have much rather had Will Borgen over Ristolainen if I had to pick one or the other for various reasons. He's younger, he's cheaper. I think eventually he'll probably end up being a more effective player. If you could have ended up adding him in with Dahlin, Owen Power coming up, you know, we still have Matthias Samuelsson, Ryan Johnson. Like, I feel like it could have been a really nice foundation for a solid D core, a solid D group. And then whatever you get in like the Eichel, Reinhart, and Risto trades, you're probably setting yourself up pretty nicely for, you know, a good young group, a good young foundation. But unfortunately, we're never gonna know. To me though, and what's kind of been sitting with me a little bit, is that losing Will Borgen was a very avoidable mistake for the Sabres, in my opinion, and it all kind of stems from the fact that they've held on to Rasmus Ristolainen for way too long. I mean, the guy asked for a trade after, like, what, the 2019 season? Like, how is he still here? And year after year, he always played these huge minutes, despite every new coach coming in every year and saying, no, we're gonna reduce his ice time, and then they never did. I always think back to, like, the rumor that current Seattle Kraken assistant GM and former Sabres GM Jason Botterill was offered Nikolai Ehlers for Rasmus Ristolainen and like didn't do it. The thing is though, like, Ristolainen has been on this team for like a million years. His analytics are terrible. His teammates' analytics when he's on the ice are typically worse. He's just never been a part of any success here. He's never really done much that has really made the team better. So it's just, to me, it's just been weird to see GMs just hold on to him year after year after year. My thinking was that, like, by now, the reason Ristolainen is still on the team is probably because other GMs across the league maybe don't want him. Maybe Kevin Adams has tried to trade him, and maybe other GMs just aren't biting. But there have been reports coming out from, like, you know, the insiders that have said that, like, Buffalo's asking price now for Rasmus Ristolainen is, like, a first-round pick and a prospect, and that like several teams are seriously interested. So why now? Like, why would they be interested now? You know what I mean? So they had to have always been interested. There must have been some kind of market for Risto, and that's why I'm a little bummed that, you know, we had to use the protection on Risto, and we end up losing Will Borgen. Like, why couldn't this trade have been made at the deadline or a year ago or 2 years ago. You know what I mean? Maybe it's because Risto finally only has a year left on his contract, a year before unrestricted free agency, who knows. But honestly, like, if Kevyn Adams can get that for Rasmus Ristolainen, I think that's kind of what made the risk of leaving Will Borgen unprotected worth it. Like, how pissed off would we be if we exposed Risto and Seattle took him and then immediately flipped him for like a first and a prospect, right? Like, we'd be pretty pissed. I really do like Will Borgen a lot. I like his skating, I like his physicality, and I do really think he's going to be a solid impact player, maybe a middle pair defenseman. I think that's probably where his ceiling's at, if not, you know, next year eventually. And it is a shame when we actually find value outside of like the top 2 picks in the draft and then we end up losing it before we ever get to see it play out. But at the end of the day, we had to lose someone, and if the only person you're losing in an expansion draft is a young defenseman who hasn't really proven anything in the NHL, I guess it could probably be a lot worse. That's just how this works. I think it'll be pretty interesting to see what Kevyn Adams does going forward, because with losing Borgen and with potentially losing Rasmus Ristolainen, we're suddenly going to be pretty thin at right shot defenseman. But I mean, at this point, if we're just if we're going into tank rebuild mode, I mean, who even cares, right? So that's gonna be the thing. We're just gonna have to wait and watch and see what Ristolainen will be able to fetch in a trade to see if in the end this risk of losing Will Borgen was worth it. There was a lot of talk too about, you know, Will Borgen does have to make the team. If he doesn't, he'd have to go through waivers, and who would get the first claim in waivers? But I mean, I'm sure Seattle considered that when deciding to take him, so it was nice knowing you, Will. You're probably gonna look real good in those Seattle Kraken uniforms because those are nice. But either way, now we come up on the fun stuff because the roster freeze is gonna be over, and buckle up. We have the NHL draft tomorrow. The Sabres hold the first overall pick. We will see if the Sabres hold any other picks. They don't currently, but you never know. And yeah, as always, let me know what you think. If you're disappointed about the Sabres losing Borgen, if you thought it was the right or wrong move protecting Risto over him, let me know in the comments below. As always, thank you for watching. Make sure to hit that thumbs up button. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. I will see you soon. Go Bills. Bye, guys.